Welcome to Hey, It's Carly Rae's Book Club. This is Book Hour, where authors will talk their latest novels, reveal their writing process, and play some fun book games. I'm your host, Carly Rae. Today we have author Stan Parish. We're going to be talking about his latest novel, Love and Theft, what inspired him to turn a thriller book on its head and create strong female characters, if traveling around the world helps him craft his page-turning novels, and find out how this former editor-in-chief of the Future of Everything at the Wall Street Journal got into writing novels. Plus, we're going to see if Stan can guess which famous movie quote came from which famous movie. We'll dive in right after this. Hello, Stan. Tell us where you're joining us from.
Hi, Carly Rae. Thanks for having me. I'm joining you from my office, which this week is a lovely co-working space in Barcelona, Spain. Last week it was a hotel in Positano. Before that, it was an apartment in Rome. I've sort of been bouncing around Europe, avoiding America during the pandemic for the past couple months. So here we are in Spain.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk about your latest novel, Love and Theft. Here is a close-up of the cover. It's a thriller novel that takes the reader on a roller coaster ride with a fast-paced, heart-pounding plot. Stan, tell us about Love and Theft without giving away any gripping twists and turns.
Oh, wow. So Love and Theft is the story of a guy named Alex Cassidy. He's kind of a middle-aged single dad living in suburban New Jersey. He claims in sort of polite company to work in event production, which is partially true, but the events that he produces and takes part in are high stakes, lucrative robberies of banks, jewelry stores, casinos, etc. And he's laying low in Princeton after like a record breaking robbery in Las Vegas, when he meets a woman at a sort of bizarre therapeutic psychedelic experience that he has this really visceral, immediate connection with. And they fall in love and they begin this courtship that's complicated by the fact that they realized very quickly that they knew each other during like a previous era of their life, which they're both really eager to forget. Yeah. But she agrees to go with him to his beach house in Tulum, Mexico, where both of them are single parents and their children end up joining them. And from there, a lot of things go wrong that I don't think I can really get into without any spoilers. But they go off on this sort of epic, adrenaline-soaked journey through Mexico and then Europe as he's recruited into one last job with very, very high stakes.
Yeah. Love and Theft is a New York Times Editor's Choice pick and continues to receive rave reviews. Lincoln Child, a New York Times bestselling author, says Love and Theft is the caper thriller we've all been waiting for. Lean, sophisticated, ice cold, endlessly surprising. What took it so long to get here? How does it feel getting that sort of reception?
I mean, a rave review from the New York Times book review is about as good as it gets. If you're an author, that felt really good. They sent me the text for that review on my birthday, coincidentally, which was a fantastic present. And it was great to get all those blurbs from other thriller writers who I really read and admire: Christina Alger and Chris Pavone and Lincoln Child and Robert Crace, people who in part inspired me to make the genre switch into thriller writing. But I got to say, the best thing about the most gratifying thing about publishing that book this year was not really the critical reception so much as these messages that I was getting from readers saying like, this book basically substituted for the vacation that I had to cancel or couldn't take because of the pandemic. And the book sort of accidentally is basically like a catalog of all the things that we're not allowed to do right now. It's people traveling and going to packed dance clubs and eating in restaurants in large groups and going to bars and making out with strangers and robbing banks and other things that we're never allowed to do. But it was really cool to have it be sort of like a proxy for all the things that people really missed and weren't able to enjoy. I think it's sort of like as close to an essential worker as you're ever going to get as a novelist. So that was the most gratifying part.
Yeah. One thing you did in Love and Theft that really stood out to readers is you brought in strong female characters, which isn't always something thriller authors do. Was that always in your head to do while writing Love and Theft?
My family on my mom's side is Italian, very Italian, I would say. And so, for the first years of my life, extremely strong and dynamic female characters. That was the only kind of women that I knew. So it was kind of funny to get those comments, which is, I was just sort of writing from experience. And yeah, it is definitely something that I have at times been frustrated with in that genre, where the female characters feel kind of almost like plot devices. They're like brought in to give someone the answer to a question, or just as like a sort of one-dimensional romance, which always just felt like kind of a lost opportunity to me. I wanted everyone in the book to be as well developed and believable and human as possible. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely something that I considered. But Diane, for example, the main female character in the book, is a composite of someone I worked for in high school and college, and someone I dated after college, both of whom were extremely strong and dynamic female characters in my life. So for the most part, I was just writing from life.
Yeah. What inspired you to bring the novel Love and Theft to life? Did you have an aha moment of knowing the plot and characters?
I would say the aha moment for a book about a master thief who's sort of laying low in suburban New Jersey came to me. I would say the seed of it was planted in high school. There was this rumor when I was growing up that I grew up in Princeton, New Jersey, and there was this rumor that this little airport down the street from my parents' house was home to this crazy international drug ring where these people were flying drugs in from the Caribbean and shipping them out all over the East Coast. And I never believed it. It sounded like a suburban legend that, I just didn't give a whole lot of credence to. And then through a coincidence, which I was recently told that I'm not allowed to reveal, someone that I knew went to work for an attorney who knew all about this and confirmed not only the existence of this crazy criminal ring, but some of the details. And this idea of these master criminals hiding in plain sight in my hometown just fascinated me. And it made me wonder, what are their lives like? How are they covering this up? What are they doing to obscure the way that they actually make money? And what is normal suburban interaction like for these people who half the time are, carrying guns and breaking and committing, multiple felonies in a given day of work? So that really stuck in my head. And that was a big part of the inspiration.
Yeah. Did you research that any? And is that influenced in the book?
I tried so hard to research that, but every time I asked someone, they were like, okay, you're the editor of a magazine and you're a novelist. Even if I did know anything about this, you are the last person in the world that I would talk to about it. So I hit just brick wall after brick wall, which was good because in a way it forced me to make it up, which is always a good exercise. Yeah.
Well, in your interview with Murder by the Book, you talk about what it was like coming up with the title. Tell viewers how you settled on the name of a Bob Dylan album.
Oh my God, I have PTSD just talking about this. I was down to the wire on the title, and my publisher, it was just a really hard book to title. And my publisher had something that they really liked that I'd come up with that I grew to hate. And they basically gave me 2 hours to come up with something better, or we were going with the title that they had, which I won't even share. And so I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I had dinner at San Vicente Bungalows, and I was in West Hollywood, and it was like a 3-mile walk. And I just walked, and I think really well while I'm walking, and I was typing this long list of titles on my phone. I almost got run over a couple times, and most of the titles were terrible. And so I was panicking because I'm right up against this deadline. And finally, in desperation, as I'm standing outside the restaurant late for dinner and my phone is dying, I was like, all right, I'm just coming up with key themes in my head. And in the mental list, Love and Theft kind of jumped out at me because, of course, it's the best titled Bob Dylan album in history. And I wrote to my editor and I was like, can we just steal a Bob Dylan album title? And they were like, yes, totally. So that then became the title, at the last minute on the last 2% of my phone's battery.
You heard Stan talk about his latest novel, Love and Theft. Stay tuned, because when we return, we're going to find out how this former editor-in-chief of the Future of Everything at the Wall Street Journal got into writing novels.
Hey there, I'm Wes, and I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. Looking back, I don't think I was that different from most who experiment with drugs and alcohol. The only difference is I never stopped. What began with a few pills here and there led me to depending upon roughly 35 Vicodin a day. My addiction rocked me to the point where I ended up living in an old warehouse. I didn't want to live anymore, but at the same time, I really didn't want to die. They say it's darkest before the dawn, and that held true in my case. In a moment of clarity, courtesy of the man upstairs, I got on the road to recovery. It was time to use this gift to help others, and Clean Cause was born. Homegrown in Austin, Texas, and armed with purpose, the Clean team has created a beverage company whereby 50% of the profits go to support individuals in recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. We're ready to rock and roll, but we're only a few. We need you. Buy any of our products and you'll be energizing recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. Shop now at cleancause.com.
Welcome back to Book Hour. I'm your host, CarlyRae, here with author Stan Parish. Stan, according to your biography on your website, you are the former editor-in-chief of the Future of Everything at the Wall Street Journal. Did you always have a goal to write thriller novels?
I did, yeah. I mean, that's actually something that I did while working at that brand at the Journal, which I started in 2014, I think. And I wrote this book while I was working there full time. And that was a stressful experiment that I don't recommend. But I think it really taught me sort of as a writer during the process to not be precious with your time. You know, I didn't sort of have the luxury of like working at a set time or in a set place. I was traveling a fair amount. And so a lot of this book was written in, you know, airline lounges and hotels on weekends after a business trip or a conference or a reporting trip. So when the book sold, I sort of had reached a point where I had to make a choice. I couldn't be both the editor-in-chief of a global media brand and also do this really well. That was the kind of thing you can get away once when you don't need to sleep very much. And I started really enjoying sleep as an adult. And so it was time for the journalism job to go. But my time in journalism actually was invaluable to me as a novelist because it introduced me to all these things and people and places that I never would have had access to before. Some of which are in Love and Theft, and some of which are in, you know, various like other things that I've written. It just became a really valuable way to, you know, it ended up being a real inspiration for me.
Yeah. Well, traveling is prevalent in this book. Your characters go from the Jersey Shore to Las Vegas to Mexico to Spain. As you mentioned, you're joining us on Book Hour all the way from Barcelona, which is also near a place your characters go to in Love and Theft. Is traveling something you do to inspire your writing and why you bring it into your novels?
Yeah, I mean, traveling is very, very inspiring to me. All the places in the book are places that I've spent a lot of time. I lived in Tulum, Mexico for a summer during college. I spent a lot of time in the area of Spain that the last part of the book is set in. Suburban New Jersey was my home for many years. I was in Vegas for work a lot, which is where the opening of the book, the major heist that kicks it off, is set. It was inspiring to the point that I ended up just stealing a lot of things sort of wholesale from my travels. There's a gang of criminal bullfighters who sort of come in at the end of the book to help Alex with his final heist. And I was traveling in Spain with the goal of finishing this book. I had taken some time off from the Journal to just sort of clear the decks and get this last third of the book written. And I landed in Spain and realized I had left my laptop at JFK. And I was like, oh my God, it had an unsaved draft of the novel. I was devastated. And a friend of mine who is a former bullfighter who's from that area was very sanguine about the whole thing. And he was like, look, let's go to a party. You can't work. Like, you might as well have a drink and relax for a minute. So we went to this party at the home of his friends who were former bullfighters. And it became clear within 10 minutes of walking in the door that they were involved in some pretty heavy criminal activity, which I actually couldn't even put in the book. But all of a sudden, like here was this like cast of secondary characters that I needed, that I had planned. I had all these notes on who these people were going to be and how they were going to enter the narrative. And then all of a sudden it was just sort of handed to me on a silver platter. So traveling and happy accidents has been a major thing for me as a novelist.
And you base your characters on people you know?
They're composites in a way. They're all, there's no, well, that's not true. There's almost no sort of one-to-one equivalent of people in my life, but definitely, I mean, I got a lot of texts and emails from people as they were reading the book after it came out and realizing that I had taken lines and jokes and details from their life and sort of woven it into this fabric of the book.
Well, tell us about your writing process. Do you get an idea, write it down, outline it for weeks, then dive into the plot? How do you construct a riveting, fast-paced heist thriller?
This one was sort of a series of accidents. I didn't outline at all initially. And then there came this point where I realized I sort of had to go back and outline it kind of late in the game, which was good because I think a lot of the things that happen in the novel that are sort of the larger surprising twists came to me as sort of a shock during the writing process. I was just sort of feeling my way blind. And then at one point for like the final draft, I went back and made a really meticulous outline of all the reveals and reversals to make sure that everything was lining up and in the right place. But yeah, I just didn't know how to outline, to be honest. I like, as a writer, it wasn't something that I did. As an editor, it's something that I always told my writers to do and then ignored my own advice completely. But I'm writing a TV pilot right now. And for the first time, I'm like meticulously outlining it scene by scene, beat by beat. And it's great. I can't like the amount, it's like upsetting to me to think about the amount of time I wasted by not doing this for the entirety of my career up to this point, but live and learn.
So you're taking your own advice now.
Finally. It was great advice. It was always great advice. I just didn't realize it.
Well, the thriller genre requires an author to have a knack for stumping the reader. Did you read a lot of thriller novels and watch a lot of movies to come up with this heist plot, or base the characters and events on things you know and see?
So the opening of the book is this big heist on motorcycles in Las Vegas, which was inspired sort of by these real motorcycle heists in Las Vegas, where someone would sort of ride into a casino on a motorcycle, hold up a blackjack table and get out. But the way the story is told was inspired by movies. I watch a lot of movies as thrillers for inspiration because it's sort of watching a great film helps me figure out what I could do differently or better in a novel, especially things that aren't accessible to filmmakers. Like, for example, the opening of Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And you sort of follow all the prep work for this amazing heist, like sort of through the eyes of the robbers. And you see the whole thing from their perspective. You're watching what they do the morning before. You're sort of seeing the actual robbery through their eyes. And I was like, well, okay, that's a perfect scene. And what could I do in a novel that would make that more interesting? So for the opening of Love and Theft, I took a heist like that, but you see it only through the eyes of the sort of innocent bystanders. And so you can sort of be in their heads, engage their emotional reactions. And it just sort of allowed me to, being inspired by a film allowed me to do something that I actually haven't seen done in a thriller before. Yeah. So yeah, films especially have been really influential.
Yeah. Well, you heard Stan talk about his writing process. Stay tuned because when we return, it is game time.
Thank you for choosing Three Brothers Wineries. I'm Erica Policelli. I'm one of the partners here at the winery, and I want to tell you a little bit more about our estate. We were founded in 2006 by Dave and Luann Mansfield. We have 40 acres of grapevines, a fully operational farm. All of the wines you're tasting today are from our farm. We have 2 female winemakers, Kim Marconi and Paige Vinson. On our campus, we actually have 3 wineries and a microbrewery. We have an extensive portfolio of not only wine, but also beer, hard cider, wine spritzers, and wine slushy, all manufactured here on site. When we opened our doors in 2007, we had a modest staff of 10. We've grown to employ 40 full-time and 100 part-time employees. We pride ourselves on creativity, innovation, and our company culture. When you make a purchase from Three Brothers Wineries or Warhorse Brewing, you're supporting a majority women-owned small business, and we thank you for that.
Welcome back to Book Hour. It is game time. Stan, the first game we are going to play is Guess the Movie Quote. I'm going to read you famous movie quotes, and you have to guess which movie the line is from.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. The first one is Carpe diem. Seize the day, boys. Make your lives extraordinary.
I want to say Dead Poets Society.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
All right. The next one
1 for 1.
I know. Next one is, you're going to need a bigger boat.
Jaws.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. All right. The next one is, put some Windex on it.
I mean, that sounds like great advice, but I can't tell you what movie it's from.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Which I haven't seen, embarrassingly.
Oh my gosh. All right. The next one is, are you not entertained?
Oh, Gladiator.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
All right. You got 3 out of 4. Let's see if you get the last
right.
one. She doesn't even go here.
Clueless.
No, it's another one.
No?
No.
Oh, that was my one and only guess.
Mean Girls.
Oh my God, yes, of course.
Glen Coco.
That's the best I've done on a test in a while. I have to say, I was never been a great test taker.
All right. Well, the next game we're going to play is Guess the Classic Novels. I'm going to read you one sentence hints about a book from Buzzfeed.com, and we're going to see if you can guess which classic novel I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right. First one is, unsupervised children cope with severe PTSD. Which novel is that?
That is the plot of The Cement Garden by Ian McEwan, but I feel like that's not the one you're referring to.
No, it's Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. Also, true of both of those books.
All right. The second one is, a man wastes his life because he can't accept that he is bad at fishing. Which novel?
A River Runs Through It.
Nope.
No. Oh, CarlyRae, you're killing me. What does it tell me?
Moby Dick.
Bad at fishing? Yeah, okay. Cool. Yeah.
All right. Third one. A griffer catfishes a whole town to win back his ex. Now, there is a movie on this novel. It's classic.
You got me again. You've stumped me again.
This
is like an educational segment for me. A griffer. That was the summary from BuzzFeed? That's a really interesting take on that. I never thought of it as a catfishing.
I never did either.
Sure. No, I mean, totally. I get it. It's true.
Well, now when you watch the movie, this is what you're going to think about.
Yeah. Yes, The Great Gatsby is a giant catfishing. Yeah, I'm into it.
All right. The fourth one is, a man takes forever to get home because he refuses to ask for direction.
Tell me.
The Odyssey.
Wait, not a novel. Technically, that's an epic. That's an epic. But okay, we'll allow it.
You can email BuzzFeed. All right, the last one. Let's see if you get this one, because so far you have 0 out of 5.
Oh my God.
All right, the last one is, a teenager outsmarts her creepy stalker before dying young and penniless.
I'm going to be 0 for 5 on this one. Do tell.
Lolita.
Wow. A terrible showing on my part, but like, I'm now seeing all these classics in a whole new way. So yeah, I learned something today.
It's okay. We did it with Allison wins Scotch the last time. She got 1 out of the 5.
Okay, good. So it's a low success rate on this in general.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
that makes me feel a little better.
Well, that concludes our game time. Stan, I want to thank you for being on Book Hour and joining us today. Before you go, I hear you have a very special exclusive announcement to make on Hey, It's CarlyRae Book Hour.
Oh, yeah. Love and Theft will hopefully be coming to the big screen soon as a feature film. I'm unfortunately not allowed to say the studio yet because we're still finalizing some portions of the deal, but I'm really excited to see this movie, to see this book as a movie. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, the novel came to me in a very visual way, and I always sort of felt like it would make a really great film, and I'm really excited that a major Hollywood studio agreed. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll keep you posted.
Now, can you tell us if you're going to be involved in like writing the script or anything like that yet?
No, actually, I actually chose not to adapt this book. I want a great screenwriter to show me their version of it. I just, as I was sort of deciding whether that was something I was interested in, I watched a lot of thrillers that were based on novels, and there was all this stuff that in the film that just wasn't in the book that I feel like someone would be much better than me at telling that version of the story. My version of that story was the novel, and I feel like I'm too stuck in it to make something really great. And I'm working on this TV pilot, which is sort of consuming all of my time and attention. So.
Yeah. Well, I cannot wait to find out more about this project. If viewers want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
At Stan_Parish on Instagram, which is almost exclusively photos from my wanderings around Europe at this point, and at Stan Parish on Twitter.
Okay. You heard Stan. Go check him out now. All of his social media handles are in the description below. Stan, thank you so much for being on Book Hour. And for those watching, I hope you have a great day.
So nice to see you. Thank you for having me.